hoopinhoops.com. Leave a like and please subscribe. There's a lot of stuff to cover today, but I'm only going to get into about two or three of them. Let's start with the Lakers Grizzlies. We all know the Lakers won the game, and well, game three, that is, of course. And uh, the point difference in the final score does not really reflect how the game went. It was a blowout. The Lakers led wire to wire, and they were never threatened. But I said this before. Those people who were calling for LeBron to cook Dillon Brooks were wrong. These were people who were simply looking to fulfill their personal fantasies. But you see this a lot with some of those TV commentators. They try to create narratives that are not realistic or do not exist. When I said, or what I said actually, um, was for LeBron to go out and play his game, which is what gets his team going. It will create an atmosphere for AD to become aggressive. And of course, the Lakers is likely going to win the game. You see that very often when AD is on his game as well, when he's aggressive, when he's getting rebounds and all of that sort of stuff. Okay, so the best revenge for LeBron is to knock the Grizz out of the playoffs. The sooner the better. And we are seeing that happen right now, or we saw that happen because you saw LeBron got 25 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. And he did not need to get more assists because D'Lo was also making things done. I also have to point out that Anthony Davis was aggressive. He had over 30 points and 17 rebounds, which is what Dillon Brooks was hoping would not happen. That's why he said, he doesn't respect anybody unless they score 40 on him. He wanted LeBron to go mano a mano, and Anthony Davis, of course, would be playing a lesser role. But of course, that didn't happen. But what this tells you is that LeBron was getting his revenge, you know, as they blew out the Grizzlies. After the first quarter, the Lakers were up 26. Memphis only scored 9 points in that first quarter. All right. And the Lakers went into the fourth up 20. And of course, it happens sometimes. Teams take their foot off the gas. So the final score looked a bit closer than it actually was. LeBron will tell you that he was not sending a message. But if you follow his career, you know he did. That is how he does it. Remember a few years back when Phil Jackson had an issue with Carmelo. Carmelo was on the Knicks. Okay? Remember when LeBron also took offense to Phil Jackson calling his friends posse? Well, how did LeBron send a message? Remember, he blew the Knicks out and sat on the sidelines playing dice with his teammates. So that's how he does it. He doesn't go at any particular player. He makes his team win big. Now that's the playoffs. And of course, he will not do anything as crazy as playing dice. And of course, he's also a tad older. But if you look through the history, okay, there are quite a few examples of him, taking his revenge by giving the opposing teams a good whipping. It's also one of the reasons why reporters speculate that players do not fear him. He does not go mano a mano, and persons have that fantasy, I should say, from the past that for persons to fear you, you have to go one on one and score 30, 40, whatever on some player. Yeah, I said as much because there are a couple of times where you would see LeBron actually went ahead and score on persons for revenge. He's done it a few times. But again, that's not his go-to thing. So you will see things in his younger days he did. Even like sometimes averaging 30 points a game when persons were wondering, were questioning, or wondering, whichever it is, um, you know, why he was only averaging around 27, 28 points a game. And he just wanted to show you, look, all I just got to do is take a couple more shots, and if I could do it, but that's not how he plays. So yeah, but that's that. And LeBron will not admit he was taking revenge, but yeah, he was saying in a statement. Then there is Philadelphia, that Philadelphia Brooklyn series. The series ended as expected, and Philly swept Brooklyn. But I thought it was possible for Brooklyn to at least take one game. You never know it. All it takes is for the Sixers to have a bad game or the Nets to have gotten hot. But in essence, the expectations was for Philly to make quick work of the Nets. The bigger conversation surrounds Joel Embiid kicking or attempting to kick Nick Claxton in his boys. And of course, Harden actually getting it done with his hand. Not on Claxton, but I'm trying to remember if it was an automatic ejection in the playoffs. And I'm sure it will come back to me when I finish recording this segment. I know in the regular season, the results were mixed. I recall persons getting an ejection and sometimes they were not ejected. I would have to go back and check to see if it was incidental contact that was considered back, back then or in the regular season. Um, but while there may be some questions about the intent with James Harden, there is no doubt about Joel Embiid. Many people have even called Harden's ejection a makeup call for not throwing Embiid out. When I look at the play, historically, based on what Joel Embiid done, I think they normally would have gotten thrown out. Even Doc Rivers knew Embiid got away with one. And Doc, to me, is very predictable. He went on to state that the league should punish the instigators for provoking stars. He obviously was trying to protect his player. And I see nothing wrong with a coach protecting the players. But the thing for me is that the things Doc say usually seems a bit off. I don't know if he lacks a sense of awareness when he speaks. Throughout the history of the game, players have always provoked reactions from key players to get them thrown out, stars or not. It is for the players that are provoked to keep their composure. Remember when Lance Stevenson blew in LeBron air? What do you think he was hoping for? If you go back and look at Dennis Rodman and his antics, obviously, you know, it's to intimidate you, it's to get you thrown out. And we could go back as far as you want in the game. I listened to Rick Mahorn last night, and he was right on the issue. As a member of the Bad Boy Pistons, they would take shots at you. They would do things to throw you off your game. The key thing is that they would not do anything that would result in a player getting hurt. And that's what Rick Mahorn was saying. He went even further to point out that, while they would do those kind of things to throw you off your game, the face and the nuts was off limits. And I know Doc played right around, those times. So I know he knows better when he says these things. I will go a little further. And this is something these TV analysts, you know, they don't do when it comes to Doc Rivers. You know, they don't give him that sort of criticism that he deserves. And we know how they respect Doc's legacy, calling him, championship coach, one of the best coaches in the game. I'm not saying he's not a good coach, don't get me wrong, but I think the positive criticism they're quick to give, but where he is off, they're not so quick to call him out. This is the thing. Doc recently said how the Clippers team would never have won a championship during his stay. That they lacked chemistry in the locker room or togetherness or something like that, something he said. And I knew the statement about the championship was not true, but it was refreshing to hear some of the players on the team come out and bluntly reject Doc's statement. I recommend persons listen to JJ Redick and Jamal Crawford comments on Doc's statements. And if you can't find it, send me a message. I'll make it available, or some portion of it available, whatever is I could do. This is what JJ and Crawford said. You know, they accused Doc of trying to rewrite history. Okay, they thought outside of a couple years, they thought that the chemistry was great because they were saying in the latter portion together there were some things that came up, but early on, everything seems great. Chemistry was good, and they thought they could have won. In fact, they pointed to a couple of times when they thought they could have won the championship, and I believe that included the time when they were up 3-1 on Houston, and Houston came back and and won the series. Of course, we know that's a sore point for Doc as well. They also spoke about, Doc being a people's guy. At least that's what he was brought in the team as. And if there were issues with chemistry and he realized it, then at the time he was both coach and general manager. So, you know, it fell on him to address some of those issues. And even while they took some accountability for some of the things that happened, they were saying, it's like Doc not to take accountability for his part in what goes on. You know, but Doc has been creating narratives for a while. Even his time in Philadelphia, he's tried to create some narratives, and we could get into that at a later point. But I will say this: his friends refused to call him out. Some of those analysts. Um, but let's put that aside for now. The Sixers have a good team this year. They have a great opportunity to make a good run. So let's see how things go. The last thing I want to touch on is the Knicks Cavs series. The Cavs went into the Garden and got beat down in game 3. In game 2, Cleveland played great. The others besides Donovan Mitchell had some good contributions. But of course, you expected the Knicks to make adjustments. It's the playoffs, and New York did. Of course, there's the crowd, there's the energy in the Garden as well. So this is what I'm speaking about when I say, Donovan Mitchell needs to know when to go and when to let others help carry the load. If he notices that his teammates are having a tough night, take over the game. It will not always result in a win, but you have to know when to go and when to not go. Of course, the Knicks defense had something to do with game 3. But that was an opportunity for him to be more aggressive. Donovan Mitchell has the talent. He needs to feel out the game, understand what his team needs. There are times when he has to take shots and times when he has to lay back. But that was game three, and it's in the books. Let's see what adjustment the Cavs make and Donovan Mitchell in game four. Hoopinhoops.com.